Mayday! Do you copy? The most dangerous weapon in this system is on this planet, and an entire army of Hive is trying to destroy it. This is a war of many fronts, and there's more than one way to fight it.
And you think Rasputin is the answer? It's a broken weapon, too dangerous to be left alone and too unpredictable to wield. Rasputin was not the only thing to awaken on Mars.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Warmind is just a few hours away and I for one am actually very excited to jump into some new content, get some new gear, play through the story, and see what's going on with Escalation Protocol. Of course, last week we got a ton of information from Bungie despite there not being an official stream. Now, we also had some extra details coming to us by way of This Week at Bungie. They went over more specific information about how Heroic Strike modifiers are going to work, in addition to some of the changes coming to Eververse. So of course, naturally, those are two very hot topics that I want to go over in this video and give you my thoughts and what it all means. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so let's kick things off with some information about Season 3. This is going to be stuff that is available to everybody who plays Destiny 2, regardless of which DLCs you do or do not own. So, of course, the first thing right off the bat is the exotic weapon tuning. These are all of the weapons that have been tuned for Season 3, and all of them feature some pretty incredible buffs. I'm sure you've seen the Twitter posts and the YouTube videos of these weapons in action. They look pretty insane. One weapon that I'm particularly looking forward to is the Hard Light, because it's getting the ability to switch between elements with the reload button, in addition to doing 200% damage on the ricochet rounds, which is not going to be anything to scoff at, especially when it comes to those shielded enemies. But anyways, moving on to some pretty cool new stuff, let's talk about modifiers. In the latest This Week at Bungie, they outlined how the modifiers are going to work for Heroic Strikes and for Nightfalls moving forward. So first up, for Heroics. So Heroics are now going to feature 3 different modifiers. One burn, one advantage, and one disadvantage. They outlined what they're going to look like, with the burns rotating weekly, but the advantage and disadvantage actually rotating daily, which I think is pretty cool. So first up, we have the standard burns as you know them now. We have Arc Singe, Solar Singe, and Void Singe. This is going to rotate weekly. This is the same modifier that appears on the Prestige card, which means that there's a 25% increase on incoming and outgoing damage for that element. Moving on, there's going to be the second modifier, which is going to be the daily rotating advantage, and that is going to be Brawler, which doubles the melee recharge rate and doubles the damage. And then we have Grenadier, double grenade ability recharge rate and damage. And then we have Heavyweight, triple power ammo drop rate, double power weapon damage. These are things that you probably have recognized from the Heroic Adventures. Moving on, we have the third modifier being a disadvantage, again rotating daily. We have Glass, which means players' health and shields are halved, but recharge rates are doubled. Pretty interesting. Blackout, radar is disabled, and enemies do 20 times increased melee damage. So you know, instant death. And then we have Iron, enemies no longer stagger and health pools are increased by 50%. And then finally we have Grounded, players take 5 times damage while airborne. This is something we know from Destiny 1. So all in all, these are some pretty cool new modifiers, and I'm definitely excited to play Heroics now a lot more, but we've got to have more of a reason to do it. Hopefully there's some hidden stuff for us to discover that makes us go through those Heroic Strikes a little more often. Now, moving on, we have the brand new edition of the Legendary Nightfall Challenge card. Essentially, you're going to be able to take your current Nightfall Challenge card, take it to Xur, and he will be able to upgrade it to a Legendary Quality Challenge card. What does this do? Well, it increases the number of slots you have. It'll actually add 3 new slots And that's going to allow you to assign even more of these modifiers so you can increase your score multiplier or add additional advantages. Now, of course, in addition to those modifiers that we went over before, there are some unique ones that are only available on this legendary challenge card. Those include Extinguish, which we already know about, Famine, which means ammo drops reduced by 50%, Match Game, players must match their element type to the enemy shield type, Attrition, health regen is slowed greatly and enemies drop health orbs, and then Momentum, health regenerates only when the player is moving. So all in all, pretty excited for the new modifiers. I can't wait to take them out for a spin. This should definitely make Nightfalls and Heroics a little bit more interesting. Again, I'm hoping that they give us a reason to run more Heroics. We already have our reasons to run Nightfalls. Hopefully they'll be adding even more items into that mix. But of course, we'll just have to wait and see. Next up, we have another major change to the way you acquire Eververse items, and that is called Prismatic Matrix. So what is this exactly? Essentially, the Prismatic Matrix is a menu, for all intents and purposes, is a curated weekly list of 10 Eververse items. The idea here is that on your first level up, the first bright engram you get for that reset week, you will get an item called a Prismatic Facet. You will be able to take that item to Eververse, use it in the Prismatic Matrix, and you'll be granted one of these items that you see before you. For instance, this is like week 1, let's say, and these are going to be the items that you can get from the Prismatic Matrix. The idea here is that it's only going to grant you items that you don't already own. So if you own something from this screen, it'll be grayed out and it won't give it to you. Now, this is still in addition to your normal bright engrams, which grants you normal randomized loot from Season 3, but the idea here is that this gives you a little bit more control in getting items that you don't have. And from what I'm understanding, you're going to be able to get a Prismatic Facet once per character per week. So you can have essentially 3 per week and be able to get 3 of these items from that week that you don't already own, which is pretty cool. Also, those Prismatic Facets stack to 3, so if there's nothing that week that you want, you're going to be able to carry it over to the next week to see what the new items are. Now, this next detail I think is pretty cool, and that is the fact that if you want more Prismatic Facets, that means if you want more of the items other than just 3 of them, you can purchase them for 200 silver from Eververse. Now you might be asking me, hey Futurefoe, why are you excited that you can buy things from Eververse? Aren't you supposed to be, with the people, down with Eververse, no more silver? Well, I've talked about this in a previous video, I'll link that down below, where I go over potential solutions to Eververse. My idea was to have the ability to purchase items directly with silver. So if you found a ship you really wanted, I should be able to spend 500 or let's say 800 silver and purchase that exact ship, kind of like how you would purchase emotes in Destiny 1 with direct silver. My idea is to have a selection of items in Eververse that is a week ahead of what you would normally be able to buy with Bright Dust. So if you wanted to get those items a little bit earlier and you couldn't wait, you could go ahead and spend the silver, or else you could wait a week and that selection becomes now available for Bright Dust, so you can use your in-game currency. So this is nice. Even though you're not able to directly purchase the item with silver, you can still buy one of these facets, which gets you one of these items at random. But if you buy enough of them, you're guaranteed to get everything on the screen. So how could this be potentially exciting? Well, let's say we're a few weeks into the season and you come across a Prismatic Matrix that has, let's say, 6 things grayed out, as in you already own them. So there's 4 things left for you to get. You grind up with 3 of your characters and get those prismatic pieces, and then you can claim 3 of them, leaving you with 1 item in the Prismatic Matrix that you don't own, and let's say that happens to be an exotic ship. So what does that mean? That you can spend 200 silver, and you'll be able to use the facet on the Prismatic Matrix and get that ship guaranteed, because it's the only item on the screen that you would not have already had. Now, of course, we'll just have to wait and see exactly how this all rolls out, but I think this is definitely a good step in the right direction to give you more control over Eververse. And then, of course, as per usual, the developers do pledge that this is just a first step towards repairing things with Eververse, and they are open to more ideas, and they're going to see how things work out and make changes moving forward. And so, of course, that conversation is going to continue, but those are pretty much the major topics that I wanted to go over in this video. I do want to leave you with a few other little patch notes that I think are really interesting to know about. First up, of course, with Season 3, we're going to have an increase in vault space that has been increased from 200 slots to 300. Of course, this is not Bungie's final solution to the vault. As they did with Destiny 1, they're going to be adding collections into the game in the fall, but it looks like there's going to be even more collections than there were before, hopefully for Legendary gear. That would be pretty cool, and that should make things a little bit easier on your vault. Moving on, we have the multi-emote wheel, of course, but the cool thing about that is that because you have access to every single emote that you own, you no longer need that section in the collections kiosk at the vault, so they're going to be removing that. Quest items are going to go into a new Pursuits tab in the inventory, and that is going to be the one tab in your inventory screen that is not shared across your Guardians, because of course they're going to contain items that are going to be important for things like exotic quests. So that officially wraps everything up. Let me know in the comments below what you're excited to jump into first with Warmind. Are you excited for exotic quests? Are you excited for the exotic weapon tuning? Let's discuss. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. We're going to have lots of videos throughout the day and into the week, so be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything to do with Warmind. We're going to be going over weapon reviews, exotic secret quests, all of that good stuff, so definitely stick around, hit that notification bell, because you don't want to miss a thing. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.